Hello, folks. It seems like me and StreamYard had a disagreement about when this stream should have started. I thought I set it at midnight my time. StreamYard seems to believe I set it at midday my time. And it's that AM PM stuff. I thought 12 p.m. meant midnight, but apparently it isn't. I don't know. I apologize for the misunderstanding, and so either I'm 11 hours and 55 minutes late, or whoopsie. Yeah, that's when you are doing the European 24-hour military time stuff. Your AM PM is somewhat confusing. I will try to improve till next time. Hi, Jason. Good to see you. So I at least hope a few of you will show up, not too disappointed. Hello, I am Princess. Not yeah. Well, I trimmed down the cheeks a bit. Yeah, thank you for noticing. That is very sweet of you. So yeah, today the trial of the day is the Florida face eater murder trial. And if you do not know, in 2016, in a Florida garage, Mishcon, I don't know the pronunciation, and John Stevens III met their end by the hands and teeth of Austin Harrouff. That was a bad joke. Apparently, according to some of the documentaries I have watched, he had a completely psychiatric meltdown. Hugo is here. He has just been at the window getting some sun. And Gertrude has also been in the sun, in the window getting some sun. I'll put her somewhere good. Excuse me. There. Looks good up there. Yeah, don't never expect the Vikings to show up when you think they will. Okay. Oh, you're in Australia. Yeah, that's tomorrow morning around 7, 8 a.m., something like that. Yeah. Britbat is here. Jingleberry, Jason. Yeah. Yeah, so did I, and that got my interest up quite a bit, because apparently he recorded that episode before the trial was. So it piqued my interest. Yeah, the plants have names. My members named Hugo. We had. They suggested the names, and then there was a vote. It was Hugo, 200 names, and then it was only 2 votes between Hugo and the second place. So Hugo is named Hugo the Ass Burner, because my members is a bit weird. Gertrude is named by Solomon Anderson, the brother of Zachariah Anderson. And if you have watched me before, you know I have covered Zachariah Anderson case quite extensively since the trial and during the trial, because I believe that was injustice. And I'm very, very pleased to hear after his appearance on Viva Frey that what's his name? Apparently, some famous lawyer agreed to take on work pro bono or devote his time to help with the appeal. And that is worth a lot. But as you all know, or might know, an appeal is expensive. You need to hire a investigator to investigate the evidence, check up the witnesses, what actually happened. Yes, Barnes. Yeah, thank you. Barnes agreed to devote spare time. His sponsor, Zachariah Anderson, with his time, and that is, well, say he is a $500 an hour lawyer, and that's 5 hours. That's 2,500. 50 hours. That's 25 grand. So yeah, Robert Barnes is a good bulldog to have in your corner. I have to check him out somehow, because, as you know, I'm not American. I really don't know the famous lawyers or semi-famous lawyers. Okay, Fem Natal says that Barnes is a top-tier attorney. Okay, I will definitely go look what he has done. Yeah. Yeah, we were talking about the Florida face eater, and apparently he had a psychiatric issue for quite some time that wasn't treated, and he might have self-treated a bit, and it progressed to the point where he had a total psychiatric break. And so what we are going to watch is from the actual trial that was in November. And yeah, let's what do you say? Let's get right into it. Let's add that to stream. And I have to add this one. It's a 2 hour and 9 minutes, but yeah, he snapped, because that poor man and woman, he literally ate their face. Yeah, gruesome, and there are pictures out there, but yeah, in this case, I will I will mind the victims' families. What trial is this? It's the Florida versus Austin Harrouff. Could it be pinned? Well, we are watching it, so yeah, we are watching the actual trial, and let's see what they have to say. I hope the sound will be okay. Okay, fast forward a bit. That would be the judge. Oh, come on. Let's see. There somewhere.
Exhibit 3 was. Exhibit 3 was.
Volume is up.
3 things.
Yes, that's a composite exhibit, Judge. Just for the record, those are the St. Mary's medical records, the jail medical records, and then the box reports.
Okay.
And the digital aid, I'm not exactly sure how that gets put in the record or transmitted to the hospital, but as they are medical records of the event before it gets to the hospital should have the prior medical records.
Okay.
I don't know how.
I'm not really sure. I can order that, and certainly with 1 and 2. I guess you could accommodate that. Get to the hospital. Well, we'll talk about it later. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, but those are probably also be placed under seal based on the content, the medical content directly.
Any objection by the state? Okay, then let's make it all of them. As a matter of fact, I'll order everything. I just somebody can. Yep, states and defenses.
Your Honor, there were approximately 6,000 pages on the St. Mary's records. That's why they're not in documentary.
Okay, that's fine. I don't think that'll be a problem, but we'll between the two of us, we'll figure it out. All right. Does this state, I guess, at this point, wish to offer any other evidence or commentary?
Not for this part. The victim's family would like to say something again.
Assume that defense with this part, with the judging the defendant not guilty. Anything further?
No, sir.
All right. Would the families like to speak first?
Yes.
Good morning, ma'am.
Can I look at the defendant, or I have to look this way?
You can look over there if you'd like. Yes.
Can I turn this?
If you'd like to. If you could go ahead and just state your name.
Yeah, I'm going to. And please bear with me because I have a lot to say.
Okay.
Okay, victim statements, I assume.
For those of you that don't know me, my name is Cindy Mishcon. I am Michele Mishcon's sister. You can't even look at me?
Ma'am, if you'd like.
Oh, wow, okay. I am Michele Mishcon's sister and John Stevens' sister-in-law. I started writing my victim's impact statement a long time ago, at a time when I was naive enough to think that there would actually be justice, at a minimum, a trial, and at a time when I thought you might actually care to hear how you destroyed my life and the lives of my family members. In my statement, I told you all about my sister, Michele, about her amazing blue eyes, about how she too went to Florida State, about how we were only 16 months apart and best friends, about how she used to rub my stomach for hours when I was debilitated by terrible stomach aches as a child, and how I bought a house in Jupiter so we could grow old together, sitting on my patio watching the boats go by. Those are just some of the things I was going to tell you about my amazing sister. But that was then, and this is now. Everything changed for me a long time ago, just as the ink dried on my heartfelt victim's impact statement. Everything changed, not because I miraculously recovered from the excruciating emotional pain you caused me, but because I started listening to your jailhouse calls and quickly realized that you were intent on causing me and my family even more unbearable pain. I quickly realized from listening to those calls that you don't care about how your actions have affected me. You don't care about how your actions have affected my family. You don't care that you murdered my parents' firstborn child. You don't care that you don't care about anyone but yourself. In fact, the only victim that you and your family see in all of this is you and the Harrouff name. So what exactly did you and your family say on the jailhouse calls that led me to this conclusion? Well, for starters, your parents repeatedly told you over and over ad nauseum that you did nothing wrong, that you have nothing to be sorry for, that you are a good boy. It's then a toss-up for me between two statements that were the hardest for me to hear. It made me realize that you just don't care.
I need to find those jailhouse calls.
I have a question. If I'm quoting, am I allowed to use a swear word? I'm going to repeat that then. It's then a toss-up for me between two statements that were the hardest for me to hear and made me realize that you just don't care. The first was having to hear your father refer to Michele and John as those fucking people, with such hate in his voice, as if Michele and John are somehow to blame for their own murders. The second was hearing your father tell you how he celebrated and took the entire office out for drinks the day the FBI lab report came back. It didn't matter to your father that you stabbed Michele multiple times in the back, neck, and face, that you fractured Michelle's nose, arm, and ribs, or that you knocked out her teeth. No, none of that mattered. All that mattered to you and your father was that the lab report is what the lab report meant for you and your high-priced fabricated defense, and how you could use the report to bolster the illusion or delusion that you are the victim. So what else did I hear on the jailhouse calls that made me quickly realize that you thought of yourself as the only victim in all of this? Well, in one call, you liken yourself to a POW. In another call, you liken yourself to a Holocaust survivor. And in another call, you liken yourself to an African, which I believe you were referring to a slave. Is it really so hard for you to understand that you are just a cold-blooded murderer, not a victim, and certainly not a POW, Holocaust survivor, or slave? Like, how insulting can you be to the real victims? You are disgusting. And how terrible has it really been for you while waiting for your day in court? Well, when I was still listening to the jailhouse calls, you were fed 3 meals a day. You had your magazine and newspaper subscriptions delivered to you. You had your own toilet, your own shower, and for good measure, your own personal phone to use all day long, which you did. You also had a new girlfriend. And let's not forget that you had your weekly care packages from mommy. Listening to you refer to yourself as a POW, a Holocaust survivor, and a slave reminded me of the game on Sesame Street. One of these things is not like the other. So after listening to all your bullshit, I deleted my victim's impact statement years ago. But I am here for a reason. It's because I know that after this hearing today, your team is going to walk out of this courtroom and proclaim victory, that you've been fully vindicated and that you are truly the victim in all of this. And I couldn't live with myself if I didn't let the world know exactly who you really are in your own words. Because not only did I spend hundreds of hours listening to your jailhouse calls, but I also spent countless nights going through your text messages and notes on your cell phone. So this is who you are, Austin Harrouff, in mostly your own words, and in a few instances, the words of your family members and friends, whose names I'll leave out. And again, I apologize, this is going to take a while. I'm starting on your phone about 1 year prior to the day you murdered Michele and John. August 22nd, 2015. I drove high for the first time, smoked a friend's brother's bong. August 29th, you got kicked out of a frat party. A friend said, you got way too fucked up, and they thought you were gonna puke, so they kicked you out. To which you responded, I don't remember. I got too drunk. August 30th, we're going to smoke now. September 11th, and these are all just different texts. Getting fucked up now, getting fucked up tonight. I'm so fucked up. I'm so fucked up. I'm completely fucked up. I'm fucked up. September 12th, I'm so fucked up. I'm fucked up. September 13th, there was a lovely image of you with a joint in your mouth. September 14th, you talked about easy access to drugs due to joining a fraternity. September 19th, I'm ficked up. Getting drunk is so fun. Drank, went to a bar. I was so plastered. I was trashed. I'm gonna drink my troubles away. September 22nd, I'm living life in the fast lane. September 25th, I was heavy once into drugs. September 27th, you hooked up with somebody because, quote, I was really drunk. Quote, I'm a douche. Kill me with a knife. To that I say, I wish I could. Quote, I just drank a fifth of vodka. Dare me to drive. October 1st, I'm ficked up. October 2nd, I was drunk as hell. Still kind of drunk, literally blacked out. I blacked out last night. I blacked out last night for the first time. Then you said you wanted to do roids to make your legs big. You then said we went to some trailer park and did meth. October 7th, I'm fucking trashed right now. Sorry, I couldn't help you last night. I was so wasted. I didn't black out, but I almost did. October 10th, bro, I'm ficked up, fucked up. I'm ducked ip. I'm fucked yo. October 11th, I tried to help you, but I was so drunk. I was so drunk I couldn't even function. October 12th, you didn't know I'm a psychopath? October 14th, I'm actually drunk right now. October 15th, I'm fucked. Drunk at the library again. I always drink too hard. I'm fucked up. Then you wrote blackout. Blackout till you can't see anymore. Blackout till you fly. Sick, I did meth in some trailer park. October 17th, I'm drunk, give me the keys. I want to get fucked up. I blacked out again last night. I woke up this morning in his room without pants on with puke and a hole in my shirt. Your friend said you were going crazy last night. To which you said, I remember nothing. Sounds familiar. Then there's a photo of you passed out next to a toilet with your pants down and vomit in the toilet. You said, apparently this happens. I wish I remember. Shit. Hate being sober. October 18th, I blacked out. I don't remember anything. October 23rd, on my third blackout, it's 4 and I'm drunk. I'm trying so hard not to black out. October 24th, I'm already drunk. October 25th, you had a conversation with a friend regarding whether to try Vyvanse. Remember those Vyvanse? You asked your friend to bring you a pill. October 26th, I took Vyvanse. I drank like 3 energy drinks. My friend gave me a Vyvanse. October 28th. I blacked out, lost my hat, my tennis shoes, and my muscle shirt. Snapped. I don't know how I even got home. Bro, when I start drinking, I can't stop. I ran into a friend and he showed me a pic of me passed out with some nuts next to my face. This was me last night and I had no recollection. I blacked out last night, LSD. October 29th, I wish I wasn't so wasted. October 30th, I'm always high. October 31st, I'm drunk, we're all fucked up. Hold on, let me get the Addy. I'm fucked up. November 2nd, I'm drunk. November 7th, already drunk. November 8th, I'm fucked up. A friend tells you you can be an aggressive alcoholic. November 9th, you sold one of your Vyvanse to a friend. November 10th, crash from Vyvanse. I'm getting hammered tomorrow. Want shrooms. November 12th, trashed on shroom. November 13th, I need to smoke. November 14th, I want to get there before I want to get there before all the sluts drink the alcohol. Want to get hammered. Me and a friend are hammered at Fresh. Someone said to you, don't get too blacked out. You said too late. November 18th, want drugs. Went to rehab for meth. Need hot girl to snort cocaine off my cock. November 19th, gonna get lit, drunk. November 20th, I was plastered. I was real drunk. I need help. You were confused by a text message from a girl because you were too drunk. November 22nd, let's get hammered. Sounds like a plan. Getting hammered tonight, happy. Need LSD, need meth. November 23rd, give me the keys, I'm drunk. November 25th, hi. November 26th, drunk, I need alcohol. Drunk as fuck, drunk. November 28th, I embarrassed myself bad, blacked out last night and I texted a girl. I have no idea why. Friend says, what did you say? You really need to chill with that. Blacking out.
Yeah, this is all during a 2 to 3 month span before the actual murders. This I didn't expect. I knew this was the insanity plea hearing, and that, well, that this was the insanity plea hearing, and I did not expect to hear this, but I understand why. Because she was more or less denied, since there were no sentencing, she was denied her actual speech, where I suspect she would have gone for either the life or the death penalty. And I don't blame her. She's the sister of a woman who was brutally murdered. And that then this guy started eating from her. And then the husband showed up. And Austin attacked him. And as I saw from the Casual Criminalist documentary, the guy was still alive when the cops got there, but the injuries later took his life. And we are not talking about minutes, we're talking about half an hour, 45 minutes, that poor man had this person in a psychotic break, believing he was something between a bear and a wolf of sorts. So yeah, no, I understand why this is hard for the victims' families. And as I see here, too often people with mental illness self-medicate, and unfortunately they have no impulse control. So and well, when it comes to being incarcerated in a more or less mental asylum, often the people are in there for longer than the actual prison sentence. In this case, we are talking about life in prison or the death penalty if his insanity plea hadn't worked. Which means he has a chance later in life to actually be released. Now, will he is a totally different question, because as I understand it, in Florida, the court has to agree. Yeah, as I understand, doing some Googling trying to find the jailhouse calls, I will try to find those for another stream because there are some pages since I'm not in the United States, I can't get to, but I will try to get them for another stream because this I want to follow up on. I did not expect this. I haven't seen this video at all. But yes, Uniberry, apparently those jailhouse phone calls are total lack of remorse. I don't think the prosecution allow, well, I'm not sure exactly how the insanity plea, but apparently the court agreed after testimony from psychiatrists. And yeah, but as I said, if I remember correctly, in the Florida court, even if it wants to get out, even if a psychiatrist says yes, he can function with medication in the society, the court has to agree. And with this crime, I highly doubt he will see the light of day, more or less before he is before he's actually not a threat to society, which means he will be close to death, or he develops some brain dysfunction of sorts, dementia, which more or less makes him not able to walk, talk, or something like that. Yeah, but please help me to find these jailhouse calls. Yeah, I believe that's with this kind of crime, we are talking maybe in 20 to 25 years. But this guy, he is a kid. In 20, 25 years, he will be 40 to 45, something like that. NBC News, 11/28/22. The agreement worked out between the defense and prosecution to avoid the trial. Oh, yeah. Yeah, mental hospital is not a pleasant stay. You are confined more or less to your room and medicated, and occasionally meet with a psychiatrist for treatment. Yeah, but let's continue to. This is rough.
Said, yeah. Your friend said, and the scary Snapchats, you asked, what did I send? Your friend sent you the image, to which you said, I need to give up alcohol. Your friend says, yeah, you need to learn your limits. You said, I'm so embarrassed. Fuck, I can't even pronounce it. November 29th, I hate blacking out. I black out too easily. It's a big problem. December 1st, if there's a party in heaven, I plan to leave wasted. On Adderall, feel crazy. On acid, happy. How long do these things take to wear off? December 2nd, I'm popping Vyvanse and studying for it all day Saturday. December 3rd, need Addy. December 5th, drunk as shit, drunk. I have no clue what happened, too drunk, feel like an asshole. Dude, what happened last night? Woke up in a flannel. Bring Vyvanse, nigga. Drink, drunk, done, out. I need roids. Gonna snort Addy. Up all night on cocaine. Vyvanse. I'm gonna be up all night. December 8th, need alcohol. December 9th, I'm drunk. December 11th, I need smoke. December 12th, Need heroin, need meth, so high. Poured gin and protein shake. December 17th, I'm getting fucked up almost every day. December 24th, so drunk, meth, heroin. December 26th, I just spilled codeine on my white silk pants. Need syrup, weed, pills, and some Tylenol. December 27th, need alcohol. December 29th, we're drinking, I'll leave the name out, someone's house if your plans change. December 30th, you made a drug deal to buy weed. Then you said getting high, now so happy. Bought weed from some sketch kid. December 31st, you want to smoke on my boat? Maybe bring some bud. Send Addie. Now we're in 2016, getting closer. January 1st, high and drunk. January 3rd, you asked, did I pass out? Your friend said yes. Again, you don't remember anything. January 5th, wish I could smoke in the dorm. January 6th, need bottle, cheap liquor store near me. Hurry, gotta get a bottle. Friend says, don't black out again. January 7th, drink, got me drunk, hard to walk home, legit, vision blurred, drink. January 9th, I was so drunk last night. What happened last night? Drank a ton shit of vodka and smoked a shy load. Hardly remember anything last night. January 14th, get me some shooters. Your friend asked, how many Adderall do you normally take at once? You said, I don't know, milligrams, and I don't know, let's say for a few hours, take one. Sad, only have 6 Vyvanse. I have 5 of the 70 milligram Vyvanse and 1 of the 30. Wasted, have Coke, we're gonna do Coke. Can't see, help, it's snowing. January 15th, I wanna get wasted tonight. Need new bottle. Someone says, please be careful this weekend. Don't kill too many brain cells. You responded, LOL. I drank Monday and yesterday already. Drunk. January 16th, drunk. January 18th, blacked out. Could have fucked too, blacked, sad. Apparently I passed out in Harmon bathroom with pants off. Sad that I was too blacked out to fuck the girl. Drank fucking Coke and shit last night. Shit, black lie, blacked out. Your friend says they should call you blackout. That's your thing. You said blacked out hard last night. Then you're talking about buying more drugs. You said he usually sells them for 10 a pill. I just haggled him to give me a deal. Hooked up with some girl, was going to fuck her, but I passed out in her bed. January 20th, I think I'm an alcoholic now. January 21st, drunk, blacked right now. I'm fucked up, drunk and guck. Too drunk right now. Can't believe I made it home alone. Going out tonight, maybe not get that drunk though. Who am I kidding? I had like 6 beers and a couple drinks last night and didn't black happy. January 22nd, I party harder than you. Well, me and my friend are about to start drinking. I was just extremely hungover and tired this morning. Hey, it's cool if I bring a girl back. She has a prescription. Plus, she's rich as hell. Need her to give me free shit. January 23rd, I wasted already. January 24th, too fucked. I didn't do anything that I remember. I bought them drinks, that's all I remember. Just don't know what happened. Hardly remember anything. Remember them asking if I was blacked out. Your friend asked, why is a dude sucking your toe? You said, I was king wasted, fucking. I need syrup and pills and some Tylenol. January 25th, God, I want some liquor. January 26th, need codeine. Need a friend to smoke in the shower with me. January 29th, what's that Addie does? Drunk, wasted, hammered, I'm so fucked up, drank 14 beers. January 31st, took a 30 milligram Vyvanse, happy, too fucked up right now. February 1st, yeah, blacking out is scary as fuck. It's happened to me a couple times, but I try not to get to that point. I got high off a couple hits. Apparently I walked out of the club randomly, didn't know where I was. I called my friend and I was near a group of cops. I woke up and thought the whole night was a dream. February 2nd, a friend says, I want some alcohol, man, to which she responded, same. Then you said, might pop a pill tomorrow, February 4th, gonna get drunk tonight. I'm at the front right now, drunk. I'm easily drunk. Brain does not work. February 5th, I wasted. I blacked out last night. God, what the fuck happened?
Well, according to the information in some news articles I found, they didn't need to search for a psychiatrist to go with the insanity plea. It was more or less unanimous that this kid was when he was committed the crimes. He had, according to them, conclusively a psychotic break where he had no idea what right. He didn't know the difference between right or wrong. He was far off into his psychosis. And apparently in Florida, once that is established, the court can agree to no trial, but to an insanity plea, and then go directly to the sentencing, which will be incarceration in a mental asylum. Yes, there was a psychiatrist. Let's see here. Oh, we have it. Let's read from the Forensic Psychological Evaluation Report. And we will continue with Austin Kelly Harrouff. Let's see here. Gregory C. Landrum, clinical and forensic psychology. How many pages are there? There are 11 pages. Let's skim through it. Austin Harrouff presents a 23-year-old white male who has been referred for a forensic psychological evaluation by the Office of the State Attorney, 19th Judicial Circuit Court in and for Martin County, Florida, to formally assess his legal sanity or insanity at the time of the alleged offense. Arrest history. In terms of a previous arrest history, Mr. Harrouff reports no prior arrest as an adult or juvenile. Thinking of the vast amount of drugs he took, I'm surprised nobody caught him, actually. Psychiatric history. Mr. Harrouff is presently maintained on psychotropic medication to include Zoloft and Geodon. I don't know what those are. He notes that he was first placed on Celexa and Zyprexa. However, these medications were discontinued in favor of his current protocol, which he describes as helping with his depression. Okay. Depression. Mr. Harrouff is also prescribed trazodone for sleep, which appears to have begun while at the St. Mary's Medical Center. He indicated that the medications make me want to eat and sleep, and at times he feels groggy and other times feels fine. He notes that he has gained 90 pounds since he has been in custody. Current depression, really not Educational history, employment history, family history. Okay, instruments, administered, procedures used. That are lots of it. Test result evaluation findings. Mental status examination. The mental status examination found Mr. Harrouff to be adequately oriented with respect to time, place, person, and situation. He denied the presence of homicidal or suicidal ideation and reported no history of same. He further denied any current auditory or visual hallucination experiences. Such, however, appears part of his clinical record. During the course of this assessment, there were no evidence of confused mentation, loosening of associations, delusional thinking, or psychotic thought processes. Recent and remote memory functions were considered to be reasonable intact. His speech was unpressured and his thoughts were goal-directed. Insight and judgment is presently intact. Mr. Harrouff's overall effect was felt to be appropriate to thought contents. He appears to be of average to above average intelligence. Substance use disorder. Mr. Harrouff is currently being treated for schizophrenia and reports feelings of depression and sadness at least twice a week for a short period of time. A review of his jail medical records finds that on occasion he continues to report feelings on invincibility, fearfulness at night, and experiencing intrusive thoughts. Blah, 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 blah. On Sunday, August 14th, Mr. Harrouff reported that while walking his dog, he began to run and felt like he was half dog, half person. Okay. On Monday, August 15th, the day of the murders, Mr. Harrouff recalls putting on a Michael Vick jersey, which he believed that dog spirits told me to put it on. It is recommended that if the court finds that Mr. Harrouff meets the criteria for legal insanity at the time of offense, consideration should be given to his involuntary commitment to secure forensic state hospital, as he has a mental illness and, because of the illness, is manifestly dangerous to himself or others. It is further recommended that the court retain jurisdiction of Mr. Harrouff and govern any movement within the DCF with regard to placement, particularly if consideration is being given to a step-down facility or program. Okay, so it's up to the court to decide if he will be given a step-down facility or program. It should be understood that the manifestation of Mr. Harrouff's psychiatric illness resulted in a psychotic episode so acute that 2 innocent people were killed and another near fatally wounded. Such an event is highly unusual, as people with mental illness are no more likely to commit violent crimes than ordinary members of the public. Research, however, have shown that violence risk is increased in individuals with bipolar disorder who also engage in substance abuse. It is also known that when violence does occur, it often involves family members. Mr. Harrouff was not found with illicit drugs in his system at the time of the event, and the victims were unknown to him. It is additionally recommended that prior to any release from the Forensic State Hospital, Mr. Harrouff complete a formal violence risk assessment by an independent forensic psychologist or psychiatrist to determine his potential for future acts of violence towards himself or others. Okay. So that was the... Oh. How do I do this? I have to go into settings, community. He's not hidden, according to my, so he should be able to continue writing. I don't know how to show his... I can see his... I don't know how to do it. Because I don't see him as hidden user. So he should be able to... Okay, I see he's on again. Yeah. Well, let's go back to this then. But more or less, the forensic psychologist, they determined after evaluation that he should be... They recommended that the court found him legally insane at the time of the crime. Yeah, but this is so hard for the victims' families.
Remember making out, but then nothing else. Help, 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 help. You didn't remember if you had sex with a girl. Don't remember how I got to girls' dorm. Help, help. Blacked out last night. Don't remember anything from last night. Getting hammered today. Need to drink at Heritage. February 6th. Help. Drunk. I always get super depressed and angry and anxious when I'm hungover. Pissed. February 7th. Drunk. Your friend asked, "What the fuck, Austin? You drunk?" You said, "Thanks, yes." February 11th. Got so high last night and had to walk a mile. Taking an Addy. I don't have a prescription. I just buy it from random people. February 12th. Need to black out now. February 13th. Drunk, too drunk. February 15th. It's snowing. That's called cocaine. February 19th. Hi. February 22nd.
Yep. What's pissing me off since I watched the Casual Criminalist is that the parents seem to have done absolutely jack nothing, and probably knew of his substance abuse and still did absolutely nothing. No, not many of his friends actually, you need to get checked out. His parents definitely didn't. And yeah, so that is... At least had they gotten him somewhat evaluated, this could have been avoided. And yeah.
Gonna get wasted. I do take pills, don't do speed, do crack, don't smoke weed. February 23rd, snorting all this coke. February 25th, gonna drink all the rum, happy. February 26th, depressed, because got fucked up for no reason, gonna drink all the rum, ducked up, happy. February 27th, at bar with pool tables, coke, drank last night, but gonna
No disrespect to the victim's sister, but she is only reading these text messages. So let's move forward to
You can come on up if you'd like. Hi, go ahead.
I'm Jody Bruce. I'm also Michelle's sister. And as I sat to write this, I realized that my thoughts were all over the place. And there's really no way I could say everything I want to. So I hope that I can at least express some of what I've been thinking about for the past 6 years. There have been so many nightmares, so many sleepless nights where my thoughts won't stop racing, and so many tears. I'm used to order. I'm used to being in control of everything. And this legal experience has been anything but that. It's been confusing. It's been disappointing. And I've never felt so helpless. I'm frustrated with our criminal system, our court system. I'm frustrated with the state attorney's office. And I'm upset that I don't feel anybody has paid attention or cared about this case in the way that they should have since day one. We've had a revolving door of attorneys. Not one of these attorneys sitting here today started on this case. And I hear a lot when I ask questions. I wasn't here then. I don't know. I don't know what happened then. The judges were rotated to different districts. And I think we're on our 4th victim's advocate. Coincidentally, she couldn't be here today. Victim's advocate, really strange name for that position. There was never any advocating for me or my family. They are simply a liaison to the state attorney's office and the victims. By way of example, it's a 4 to 5 hour round trip drive here from where I live to the courthouse. And I've been to every hearing for 6 years.
Hey, Indigo.
And like everything else did, things moved to Zoom during and following COVID. There was a hearing by Zoom and there were technical issues and I had no sound. At the next hearing, and the first that I couldn't attend in person, I asked our advocate to please be sure Zoom was working. She said, I can't be responsible for that. The last time it happened, the judge said, if it's important enough, then they will be here. Why would she share that message with me? Not an advocate at all.
That is actually appalling. Really appalling that the victim's advocate did not care. That is... Oh, people are coming in from MLS Law Show. Okay, hi. Yeah, Wendy and Farrell are here. Yay, good to see you. Corn Pope. Oh, yeah, Sea Swept. Hiya. Fedorevsky. Frisak Anderson, aka M. Great success. Wow, okay. Tweet the US News, Jackie Kennedy, Carlin Andrea, Sea Swept, Valhalla. Okay, wow, there's a lot of you. Okay, hi all. Old Line Red, thank you, Neo Dark Matter. I don't know how to pronounce that. Wolfram, Viking Longboats to say hi. Okay. What we are watching is Florida versus Austin Harrouff. This is what would have been a trial, but it ended up with the court accepting the insanity plea. And we, for the first 45 minutes, we have been listening to the victim statements from from the sisters of one of the victims. The person there in red and white stripe is Austin Harrouff. And he is the guy who in 2016 attacked a man and his wife with a machete, killed the wife. The husband showed up. He attacked the husband and started to eating his face. He was having a total, according to his forensic psychology evaluation, he had a complete psychotic break at that time. He also tried to attack a neighbor, but the neighbor got away with some serious stab wounds from the machete. And then Austin returned to continue trying to eat from the husband. Yeah. Oh, hi, Jamie. Fair housewife. Ooh, hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe. And according to Casual Criminalist podcast, when the cops arrived, the husband was still alive. And they tried to drag Mr. Harrouff away and was not successful. They sent the dog at him, still not successful. No matter what they tased him, and he still wouldn't give up trying to eat the man's face. So, yeah, according to the first sister's victim statement, there are a lot of jailhouse phone calls between the parents and Austin and other people and Austin, where he apparently shows absolutely no remorse at all. Even after medication time. He is treated, was treated, still is, for schizophrenia. Is considered having bipolar disease and depression, and heavily self-medicated with alcohol, meth, cocaine, pills, everything. So the first sister just boomed with every text he made from November the previous year up to the time, more or less the time of the killing, and it's all drugs. How he was so wasted, how he blacked out, and according to a forensic psychologist, had a psychotic break, where he thought he was half man, half dog. Oh, thank you so much, Wendy H. Gifted memberships to John Gary, TG, Chris Mullen, Sue Magic, Sigboss76, Watchdog, Troy S, Julia Bromboy, Jenster J, T3. Yeah, thank you so much for the gifted memberships. There are members only videos in the member section of my channel. Go in there, find some interesting stuff. Feel free to give constructive criticism. I'm looking at you, John. And because criticism is the way I know I can improve the channel, improve myself, improve my content. I love when you all agree with me. I also love when people disagree with me. And Wolfram gifted 10 memberships. Wow. Wow. Thank you so much. To John Gordon, Excited Utterance, Free Zachary Anderson, aka M. Slvvv. I don't know how to pronounce it. I am Princess. Will Call Magic, Composer C, Tammy, Nicola Maxwell, Tony G. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, back to this. Now, when you arrived, it was the second sister of the female victim. And that, yeah. So the victims' names are Michele Mishcon and John Stevens III, who met their end by the hands and teeth of Austin Harrouff. Yeah, Mike. Ooh, I was. Let's see here. Niklas needs more cat appearances. Well, he is currently asleep in my bed, and I really don't want to wake him up because then he will attack me. Lorraine W., where are we in this trial? The trial concluded in November of 2022. This is the hearing where the judge accepted the insanity plea. So instead of trial and conviction, it is an insanity plea. Mr. Harrouff, Austin Harrouff, is sent to a mental asylum. And it is the court who decides who, even if the asylum decides he is now ready to be reintegrated into the society because of something, the court is decides yes or no. And what I remember from Florida is that takes a very long time. But in his case, he was looking at either life in prison or possibly the death penalty. So maybe, I saw a number here, maybe he can start to get a bit of freedom in 20 to 25 years. By then, he will be 25, 50. Yeah. Oh! Gertie and Hugo Food Fund. Thank you so much, Erin Hack. I will give them good fertilizer, the expensive stuff. Okay. Yeah, let's go back to listening to sister number 2.
We learned that the death penalty wasn't an option
Okay.
in the news. No phone call, no email, no.
Yeah, if you knew. Apparently, the victim's advocate was appalling in this trial. Let's go back a bit so we can hear all of it.
There have been so many nightmares, so many sleepless nights where my thoughts won't
Yes,
stop racing.
my cat
And
is an asshole.
so many tears. I'm used to order. I'm used to being in control of everything. And this legal experience has been anything but that. It's been confusing. It's been disappointing. And I've never felt so helpless.
Thank you so much, Jamie.
I'm
Thank
frustrated
you so much.
with our criminal
Just
system,
pause. Aw.
our court
Thank you.
system. I'm frustrated with the state attorney's office. And I'm upset that I don't feel anybody has paid attention or cared about this case in the way that they should have since day one. We've had a revolving door of attorneys. Not one of these attorneys sitting here today started on this case. And I hear a lot when I ask questions I wasn't here then. I don't know. I don't know what happened then. The judges were rotated to different districts. And I think we're on our 4th victim's advocate. Coincidentally, she couldn't be here today.
Ooh.
Victim's advocate, really strange name for that position. There was never any advocating for me or my family. They are simply a liaison to the state attorney's office and the victims. By way of example, it's a 4 to 5 hour round trip drive here from where I live to the courthouse. And I've been to every hearing for 6 years. And like everything else did, things moved to Zoom during and following COVID. There was a hearing by Zoom and there were technical issues and I had no sound. At the next hearing, and the first that I couldn't attend in person, I asked our advocate to please be sure Zoom was working. She said, I can't be responsible for that. The last time it happened, the judge said, if it's important enough, then they will be here. Why would she share that message with me? Not an advocate at all. We learned that the death penalty wasn't an option in the news. No phone call, no email, no heads up, literally sitting, eating dinner with my husband, TV's on, look up to see my dead sister and brother-in-law to learn that information. Thank you. Where was the advocate then? Recently, we were informed that the state attorney's office gave up on a jury trial. And then less than a week ago, on my birthday, the day before Thanksgiving, that one of our experts won't testify because of a medical condition. And then the other was denied the opportunity to interview the defendant. And with that, they gave up on the case entirely.
Oh.
Just like that. Completely gave up on my sister and my brother-in-law and my family, and in essence, the entire community. For when he walks, you gave up on everybody. Imagine all those texts you just heard and all that we've heard about no drugs in the defendant's system. My sister just put the case on for you. That is sad. That is sad. But so important that everybody now knows who you are and what you did daily for over a year leading up to the murders. Like daily, clockwork. Can anyone imagine this? Can you guys imagine this? I think it's important to note that the expert that couldn't testify because of medical conditions testified a month ago, that he shared with the state attorney's office that he wasn't able to testify in 2020. And then he shared it with them again in 2021. I wish you would have gotten another expert and not taken a calculated risk on letting a murderer out of jail. Because that's what it was, a risk, and it did not pay off. I read that a University of Florida law professor said that only about 1% of felony defendants try an insanity defense because the bar to succeed is so high. Job well done. About a quarter of those succeed. Job better well. And it's usually in pretrial. It's a shame that the defendant in this case that you prosecuted now falls into that statistic. That is so sad. Wouldn't want that on my record. In fact, each hearing leading up to today has felt more about procedures and egos than ever finding or getting justice. That's what it's felt like sitting here. Who has the bigger ego today? Who fights harder? Who gets paid more? That is not justice. That is exactly what my sister called it. You're lucky. You're lucky your dad went back to work to pay for your defense. were not as lucky. The defendant bought a knife the day before the murders. His father paid for it with his credit card. He was at dinner, having dinner. He got angry and he left. He wasn't crazy in the restaurant. And when the neighbor, Jeff, came into the garage, you said, "You want no part of this. You want no part of me." And you were standing next to my sister. And then you hit the neighbor with your hand and you started fighting with him. And when you spoke of the neighbor, you were conversing with him. You were threatening him. You were telling him to leave. You knew right from wrong. And you could appreciate the consequences of your actions that night. You can stare into oblivious, but your ears should be working well. We've been waiting to talk to you for 6 years. Look at us when we speak. You were basically telling him to get out of there. You had a weapon in your hand and you swung at him. You knew exactly what you were doing. I didn't really know you could brutally murder 2 people, attempt to murder another, and not even have a trial. That was news to me. I didn't know that. I was more naive than my sister, honestly, up until like last week. I said, we got this. Everyone's going to hear what happened. And how could we not have this? To learn, we so don't have this. We have nothing. Can you show the first picture, please? I want you to get a sense that my sister and John were like real people. That's our family. Check it out, Austin. Because when I sent you pictures in jail, you were confused as to who you were looking at, telling your mom, I got a picture, it looks like 3 triplets. I don't know, I keep getting pictures of these people. I was sending you pictures. I wanted you I wanted reminders. So here's one of our family. John's not in it, he was taking it. He loved photography, he was a photographer. We'll keep it up, please. Michele had 2 sisters, a brother, a father, 2 stepkids, a niece, a nephew that loved her more than any words could ever capture here today. We suffer, I suffer every day. And sadly,
I'll show. This is Michele and John. Yeah.
I will forever. Michele was our everything. My family's broken. We will never be repaired. Every day is a struggle. My sister was the nicest person. She would do anything for anyone. She was so happy. She had such a great life. She smiled.
Yeah. Both died. Michele was attacked and with a machete and bled out in the garage. John tried to save her and brutally battered. And after the attack on the neighbor, Austin Harrouff started eating from his face. He was still alive when the cops got there. He died in hospital. It was random. He did not know them. He left the restaurant, walked randomly, apparently saw her in the garage and just attacked. They were having a normal day. And an hour later, they were both gone. Yeah, according to the forensic psychology evaluation, he had a complete psychotic break during this attack. Of course, victim's family does not agree. They wanted a trial. And that is why they are here now doing their victim statements, because the court accepted the insanity plea.
She laughed all the time. You beat her up. You stabbed her to death. She did nothing to you, nothing. She was totally defenseless. She weighed like 100 pounds. As if that wasn't difficult enough, and in a way, a blessing, actually. You also took her husband, John, from us and from his family. John had 2 kids, a mom, a sister, now his grandkids. He loved to fish. They went out on their boat every weekend, every chance they got, really. They used to rent a house in the Keys each summer for a month. We would all go there. We would rotate in and out of that house all month. We had the best time. And I know if they were still here, they'd still be doing that.
Maybe not so
Can we show the second picture?
wildly speculating.
Those are some of our times on the boat and in the Keys when they rented their house. So you're looking, so let's focus. That was my sister after a big cake fight with her niece. Because that's what people do. They have fun before they're brutally murdered. So that looks like the 3 people that look alike, right? Then you got a picture of in prison and you say to your mom on the calls, I don't understand. These people all look alike. Well, because we're sisters. And one of them was the one you killed. You didn't even know that. Their garage was open that night because they gathered there with friends every night in their garage. They called it the Garage Mahal. They had a sign made for it, the Garage Mahal. It's a place where they entertain nightly, where the people could go, they could relax, they could eat, they could drink, they could talk, they could have fun, because that's who they were. They welcomed everybody. And then came you. You ended all of that in just an instant. It's so sad that one person could take so much.
There are apparently jailhouse calls between the parents and Austin and other people. I've been sending out the chat to please find it for me, because there are some US sources that I can't reach because I'm not in the US. So if you can find some of them, send it to me via Twitter DM or via my mail account, so I can do a follow-up. I've seen some newspapers saying that the prosecution released the jailhouse calls in a few years ago. Austin Harrouff, Harrouff. You can see it up here. Florida. Yeah, Jamie put it up in the.
From so many other people. You destroyed our family. We were close. We loved each other very much. We saw each other often. We traveled together. If I could choose anybody to go on vacation with, it would have been my 2 sisters. And we went all the time. We celebrated every birthday. There was not a birthday. There were 5 of us, Austin. There's 2 brothers and 3 girls. We celebrated every family birthday together. We all lived down here. We all live from Aventura to Jupiter. How nice. We were able to celebrate every holiday, every birthday together, and we did that. My sisters were my best friends. It's not often you have families that love being together, and we loved being together. So let's look at some of those times. Come on, look up again. Can I see the next picture? Come on, give me your eyes one more time, Austin. One more time. Oh, you can't? So let me describe. This is my sister at her last birthday. That would be my niece, the one that wrote the letter that my sister just read. That's Michele, you killed her. That's Michele and John at another birthday. Look at them. You should remember them forever, because you certainly don't remember what you did that night, seemingly. And now those are the three girls that look exactly alike. Can we go to the next one, please? Thank you. So here, I told you we went on vacation together. We went on 2 cruises to Europe before you were able to take her life. Those are some of our travels together. Are you getting a sense of what you took? Like
can't see
attaching
the
real
link
people to
control.
this, real
Hold on,
lives,
so I can
real
make
everydays?
you a moderator.
Can we go to the next one, please?
That way you can
That's my dad. He's not
post
here
links
today because you
in the chat.
basically killed him the day you killed my sister. He has not bounced back since. You killed him that day. He has not been in good health since. He has not been happy since. Imagine that, Wade, losing a daughter. You have one, imagine it. And losing her in the way my dad lost his. It's pretty sick. It's hard to imagine,
This
right?
is
It's like
not a
unfathomable.
victim statement of sorts, since
that stuff
they have
doesn't
agreed
happen.
on the sentencing already.
You'd think we paid attention the one time.
So the court are giving them a chance
And
to
that's
speak
Michele
out,
drawing the
and
dog.
they
I
won't
think you
stand
have
in
dog.
their way.
Do you ever take the time to think about what you did? Should we all take a moment now? The severity of it, the finality of it, the pain you caused, the suffering you put them through, us through, me through. Doing so must be really overwhelming. So imagine what it must feel like to us. The panic that moves through me when I think about what happened. Try and imagine the nightmares. Going through each day, but not really being present, always feeling sad, crying all the time, and then realizing it's going to be like this forever. It's pretty unimaginable. Well, this is now our reality, our everyday, because of you. All of the hearings have made me physically sick. To have to see you, sit in the same room as you, listen to your attorneys give bullshit excuses on why you did what you did, hear all the gory details, you tortured them, and you have tortured me for the past 6 years. And so the wrath of Austin continues. In the beginning, I used to consume my time, like my sister, listening to your jailhouse calls. All consuming. What does Austin have to say today? It must have been so nice to have a phone in your room so that you could stay connected with your family every day, all day. And I heard a lot on those calls. Again, in your words, Austin wanted to know who's responsible for this solitary confinement crap. He was so disappointed that they were analyzing everything he says. And again, in his own words, this is crap. The crap they're putting me through. The chains, the supervisors, the not letting me see my lawyers face to face. And I'm going to be here for another 1.5 years, which is what I'm pissed about. I guess you didn't anticipate it would have been so long. You must have been really pissed when the year and a half passed and you had like 4 more to go. Wade, as my sister indicated, you referred to my brother-in-law and sister as those fucking people. Interesting terminology to refer to 2 dead people that your son killed. Those fucking people. You referred to this as just a 2-year blip, then we'll get past it. You told Austin that we will get through this bullshit. You've called Black people the N-word. You degraded Jewish people. You've talked a lot about your Jewish colleagues that are dentists. You've had really nasty things to say, Wade. You're a racist. What kind of
A bit earlier before the raid, I read from the forensic psychic evaluation, and he is treated, was treated at the time for schizophrenia. Depression and signs of bipolar. So it was maybe 10 minutes before the raid from MLS, from David.
person are you? I really could go on and on because there's hundreds of thousands of hours of calls, and you are that nasty of a person. You said horrible things about your patients as well. You called your son doing mouth surgery on your patients. You would hand them the phone and say, here, talk to Austin. What? You bought your son a knife, the knife.
She is now addressing
The day
the father
before the
of
murders. You
Austin.
bought him one of the murder weapons. That would haunt most people. That would haunt most people for life, but not you.
According to what I found in articles and in the forensic analysis, he had no drugs in his system when they tested him in jail.
You. If we want to know who is really the insane one in the Harrouff family, it is you. You are crazy. You are gross and you are disgusting. Mina, as a mother with a daughter, I thought you would have some compassion for our family. I mean, imagine if your son did to your daughter what he did to my sister. Let's imagine that. She did because she locked her doors at night.
Thank you, Corn Pope. Thank you.
But nope, I never heard you express any remorse for our family either. Never. Shake your head all you want there in the back, sister. You locked your doors because you were scared to death of your brother. You should have done something sooner. You both said your son acted strangely for weeks leading up to the murders, and you even set up an appointment for him to be evaluated. You should have done your job better, quicker. You should not be purchasing him knives. Gee, let's make him an appointment to be evaluated, and now let's go buy him a knife. Let's call the police that night and say I think something's really wrong with my son. Your parents, you should have been better. You should have done more. You failed miserably. And because you failed as parents, my sister and brother-in-law are dead. You heard those texts, right? Did you know what your son was doing in college? You were paying for him to be there. Do you know that? Did that disgust you? Did you really sit here for the past 6 years believing that toxicology report, thinking he didn't do drugs? Did you think that? I saw his sister. I saw you shaking your head. You must have known what was going on in college. Crazy. No one in your family has taken any responsibility for what has happened, not even you. I hate you. I hate you all. I hate what you did. I really think you deserve to die, Austin. Your family deserves to suffer the way my family suffers. And sadly, I don't think anyone in here is going to ever suffer how Michele and John did. I don't think anyone ever will suffer. From what I hear, could be one of the most gruesome murders ever. So maybe nobody will suffer like them. I know the kind of people you are, so I know my words mean very little. I hope that the photograph showed you a bit of the lives you took and the ones you destroyed by taking Michele and John from us. I hope those images will haunt you forever. But just in case they don't and your memory fades, I will continue to send you reminders of the life they had, just like I did when you were in prison. I'll keep them coming throughout my lifetime. Judge Bauer, I hope there's a consideration, whether anyone thinks the defendant was insane or not, that allowing him back into society where he could do this to another family rests on you. I hope that he stays wherever you are sending him forever, and if not forever, for at least my lifetime. Or I hope society is ready to live with a person like you. Because if you get out and I'm alive, I will call attention to it.
This is the entirety since the court accepted the insanity plea.
I hope you spend the rest of your life thinking about this.
He is already in
What a horrible person you are.
court-appointed
murderer, drug
mental
addict
prison of sorts.
that you truly are.
Thank you. State.
Mason Mishcon, Michele was my sister. Was Austin insane? That seems to be the only thing anyone has cared about for the past 6 years, not the 2 dead people that he butchered. It does not seem like anyone really cares that Michele and John are dead, not his parents, not the defense, the county, the state. Everyone just wants to get this over with so Austin could get a slap on his wrist and go home and go on with the rest of his life. He will be back home in a matter of months, not years, most likely. Was Austin insane? I don't think so. He knew what he was doing that night, and he still remembers exactly what he did. He's just too much of a coward to tell us. He can't speak the truth. He's been coached by his defense so he would be able to fool so-called experts to say he was insane, but they were not there. They didn't read all the texts. I think my sister did a lot more than what the prosecutors have done. We would have been a lot better off if she was sitting at that table. But let me tell you what is insane. When the police showed up that night and saw Austin on top of John, beating and stabbing him to death and more, and Michele's dead body in the garage, they chose to let Austin survive. They saw a kid in a nice neighborhood and decided to give him the benefit of the doubt. They said they did not want to shoot him because they didn't want to hurt John. Well, John is dead and you didn't help him. What you did allow was Austin to live to fight another day. And when he's released, anyone he hurts will be partly your responsibility. And make no mistake about it, he will hurt more people in the future. That is insane. You know what else is insane? That we are even having this conversation. Austin brutally butchered 2 people, and whether he was insane should not even matter. Let's take 2 people. One is Austin, and privileged white kid, wealthy parents that could afford great attorneys and coach him, manipulate the system. So he is ruled temporarily insane, and he'll get a slap on the wrist. And then take most everybody else that can't get great attorneys. They commit the same crime with the same state of mind, and they will go to prison for the rest of their lives, possibly even get the death penalty. That is insane. You know what else is insane? That Austin's mother, father, and the rest of his family, they told everyone how crazy Austin was acting in the days and weeks leading up to the murders. So what do? They buy him the murder weapon. That's great. Good parenting. 2 beautiful people butchered in their own house. They were minding their own business. And your son walked onto their property and beat and stabbed my sister, who was 100 pounds. You attacked John then while he was walking his dog back. John, Austin, you beat and sliced open my sister. She's 100 pounds. And Wade, what do you say about that? You are saying he didn't even know those fucking people. You are a first-class scumbag. You show no remorse. No one in your family did. This is just an all big inconvenience for all of you. And all you care about is getting Austin home as quickly as possible, because we inconvenienced your life. Michele and John, what were they thinking? They happened to get in front of Austin's knife. They should have just not been there that night, right? That is insane. You know what else is insane? Probably the most insane thing of all, that all of this happens, there's 2 murdered people, and we're not even gonna have a trial. 2 people are butchered, beaten, stabbed, sliced open, and much more, Austin. You remember all that. And we're not even gonna have a trial. The state decided, nope, sorry, Martin County, nope, no trial. It's not worth having it. That's insane. Don't you have a duty to the state of Florida and Martin County and the victims to try and fight this? Maybe you will surprise yourselves and get a guilty verdict. But I get it. It's easier just to throw your hands up and quit. When the tough gets going, the prosecutors just go home and roll over. That's insane. You know what's not insane, Austin? One day you might actually have some remorse and want forgiveness. Maybe that day is today. Maybe it's next week. Who knows? But if you would like forgiveness, I'll give it to you. You just have to do one thing, Austin. You do the same thing to yourself that you did to my sister. Okay? That's all you have to do. Do to yourself what you did to my sister, and you have my forgiveness. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Rocio Mishcon. Michele was my sister-in-law. This is very short. Before today, I used to think that the US was the greatest country in the world. And I felt very proud of myself to have moved here. But now, after I see the outcome and the development of this case, I feel very disappointed with the legal system and the justice or injustice applied to this case. 2 innocent people were minding their own business in their garage, and this criminal came and attacked them for no reason and killed them. He was caught in the act of killing 2 people, almost 3, brutally, not accidentally, brutally, with full intention. And now what is the outcome of this? He eventually, sooner rather than later, be free in the streets And maybe he will have another episode of insanity. And where is the state to protect us people, the people? He will eventually also be able to not only be free, but to profit from this case. The media is out there waiting for him, interviews, books, movies, you name it. He might be famous. What about the innocent people being killed? What about their families who never in 6 years received an apology? Never an apology in 6 years. Not from the murderer or his parents, who obviously raised a criminal. You raised a criminal. I was raised in a way that if you make a mistake, you apologize, let alone if you kill two people. What kind of example are we leaving to the next generations? You can go, do drugs, get high, have fun, kill people, and you get away with it, as long as daddy pays for the attorneys, right? All of that with the negligence of the prosecutors from the day one in this case just disgusts me. That's all I have to say.
Before I start, I want to let you know that my brother is also on Zoom, John Stevens, and after I go, he would like to give his statement. He's able to do that.
He's there.
He's there.
Just have to put his mic on.
My name is Ivy Stevens. I am the daughter of John Stevens and the stepdaughter of Michele Stevens. Every morning as a child, I would sit staring out the front window, anxiously waiting for my dad and Michele to pull into the driveway to pick me up for the weekend. It was my favorite day of the week. I would grab my bag, run out of the front door, and do a running jump into my father's arms. Absolutely elated by the fact that I was spending the weekend with him. They always had some fun activity planned for our time together, whether it was the beach, climbing trees, board games, or even just a movie night with an endless amount of popcorn. Some of my fondest memories with them involved playing hide and seek for hours, dancing in the rain, and cruising around in Michele's burgundy Land Rover with the windows down, blasting music. To me, it didn't matter what we did as long as we were together. Even at a young age, I can remember craving their presence. I longed for the week to be over, for it only to be Saturday morning again. I have wonderful memories of them, not only as a little girl, but also as an adult. Even though it might not have seemed like a blessing at the time, I was lucky enough to have lived with them as an adult. They took me in when I needed help, as all good parents do. When we weren't working, we spent our days on the boat and our nights in the garage, talking, drinking, and laughing. Some neighbors and a few close friends of theirs would always head over after work to hang out in the garage with them. It was like clockwork every night for years. The same people, the same drinks, the same jokes. My dad and Michele were like magnets. They attracted people to them because of who they were. They were fun, genuine, caring people who just wanted to be happy and make everyone around them happy. They built an incredible life together, a type of life and love for each other that I don't believe many people will ever be able to attain. I feel so lucky I was able to spend those 3 years with them because I was able to learn who they were as individuals. I saw both their good and bad as they did mine, but it only strengthened our bond along with the love and respect that I had for them. After they died, Michele's sisters found dozens of love letters that they had written to each other After they died, Michelle's sisters found dozens of love letters that they had written to one another that spanned from the beginning of the relationship. Along with the letters, every birthday and anniversary card had been saved from the very beginning of John and Michele. Inside contained words of affection, admiration, and endearment. Reading these letters only reinforced to me just how much they had cherished each other, what 24 years of love had made possible. My dad and Michele were wonderful. I miss them with my heart and soul. I wish I could sit in that garage with them again, see their smiles one more time, give them one more big hug. I wish I could tell them thank you for everything and how much I love them, but that opportunity was taken away. Despite the beautiful memories I have of them, the reality of what happened to them the night they were murdered has overshadowed those precious moments. They are difficult to remember.
I need
Almost
to
forgotten.
read up more
I have to
on
dig
this
deep to
because
find
the
them.
more
I
I
have to
found
pry
out
them
during
to the
this
surface
stream,
to remember the good.
the angrier I get.
Now, when I think of my dad and Michele, I envision them lifeless and mutilated. I picture their bodies cut up, torn apart, and covered in blood. When I think of Michele, I try to imagine how she felt when she found you staring back at her, how her breath left her body out of fear. I wonder if she tried to run or if she was too paralyzed by fear to move. When I think of her, I wonder how much horror she had to endure before she became unconscious, or if she even lost consciousness before she succumbed to her injuries. I cannot even begin to imagine how terrified she must have been when you attacked her, beat her, stabbed her, broke her nose, knocked out her teeth, slammed her head so hard into the concrete that you partially scalped her. I wonder how slow her death was, if she begged you to stop when you're on top of her, stabbing her to death. Think about how small she was and how easy it must have been for you to break her. Now, when I think of my father, I think about the last words that he spoke. The words that ring in my head over and over again. Help me. Get him off me. Please help. Help me. Get him off me. Please help. The last words my father spoke were used to beg for his life. I think about how weak his voice must have been in that moment, the desperation he felt, how exhausted he must have been from the fight, from the loss of blood, how his body was so close to finally failing him. When I think of him, try to imagine exactly what happened in the garage that night. I wonder if he knew Michele was lying dead just feet away from him. If in that split second of a moment, he felt guilty for her death because she was the first one to encounter you. I wonder if he died feeling that way, guilty. I think about how slow his death was, how long it actually took for him to die, how torturous, painful, and horrific it must have been to lay there slowly dying with you on top of him, stabbing and tearing into him with your teeth like the disgusting animal that you are. These are my new memories of my dad and Michele. This is what I live with every day, imagining their deaths, almost obsessing over the answers to these questions. Questions that I will never have the answers to because you refuse to tell the truth. I am so angry that this is the only way that I can remember them now. I'm angry that they won't be remembered for the life they lived before you, only the headlines that you have turned them into. This is what wakes me up in the middle of the night as I lay in bed for hours, picturing the way that they died. You have not only destroyed the memory of them for me, but you have caused me to live in a constant state of fear, not only for myself, but for my family. You are the reason I check all my doors at night, the reason I think someone is going to murder my children, the reason I think someone is waiting inside of my house to stab me to death when I get home every day. You're the reason that I now believe life is disposable and can be taken away in an instant. You are the reason I no longer have a father and a second mother, why my 2 beautiful boys will never have grandparents. I feel so terrible for them that they will never get to experience the love that my father, Michele, could have given them, the memories that could have been made with them, and the lessons that could have been learned from them. My dad and Michele were good parents, unlike yours, Mina and Wade. I know you're not the brightest people on the planet, but there is no way that you can't realize that my parents' murders were preventable. Yet another burning question that keeps me awake at night. Why didn't you intervene if you were so worried about your son? Could you not be bothered with another one of Austin's outbursts? You shouldn't have let him leave your house the night of August 15th if he was acting so strange, Mina. You should have stopped him, reasoned with him, asked him what was wrong and how you could have helped him. But I guess you figured you let his father deal with it instead. And Wade, you had 2 chances to follow him out of the restaurant that night, and you chose to do nothing. I just can't seem to understand why you decided to finish your meal with your girlfriend instead of making sure your son was okay. What a concerned father you must have been, grabbing your son by the neck and cocking back to throw blows at him in the middle of the restaurant. I wonder if you ever regret the choices you made that night, because I surely do. I'm certain you were the catalyst for the events that took place that night. Austin might have been the one with blood on his hands, but you set the wheel in motion. One more thing I want you to think about is what would have happened if Austin made it back to your house instead of my father's that night? Do you ever wonder if the rage and bloodshed he released on my dad and Michele was meant for you? Pretty sure it was. I hope you feel responsible for what happened and realize the role that you have played in this. The death of my parents could not have been possible without you. I have had to sit in this courtroom for 6 years as you walk in, Austin. Smirk at your parents and have your back rubbed by your attorneys. In reassurance, I've had to watch you be portrayed as the victim, a good boy that wouldn't hurt a fly, someone that shouldn't be held accountable because you simply didn't know what you were doing. I call bullshit. Despite what you are meant to believe by your lawyers and delusional parents, you are not the victim. You are a murderer, a monster, and a coward for not taking responsibility for what you did. You have ruined lives and taken others. You have caused inexplicable grief, a sadness that cannot be cured, pain that will ache and live inside me for the rest of my life. I hate you. I hate you with every part of my being, and I will never forgive you. I hope you suffer for the rest of your life, because that's what you deserve. Unimaginable suffering, the kind you inflicted on my parents. I hope you never find peace, love, or anything that could resemble a normal life, because you don't deserve to live one. You can hide behind your faith in God, but when your day comes, just know that He will not accept you. God rebuffs the devil. He does not invite him into His home. He will never forgive you either. I will wallow in the moment when both of your parents are gone, when you know what it feels like to finally be empty and alone, to be left behind without that unwavering support. I wish you the worst in life, truly, although I think you did a pretty good job of setting yourself up for that already. You are a disgusting human with a rancid soul, a sick animal that should have been put down a long time ago. You deserve nothing more than to feel despair and debilitating guilt for what you did every second of the day for the rest of your sad, meaningless, and pathetic life. I hope death comes for you sooner than later. And when it does, I will rejoice, because only then will justice be truly served for John and Michele.
Thank you.
I hope you burn in hell, along with your parents. Wade, you're disgusting.
Mr. Stevens, is that who you wish to have next? All right, sir, you are John Stevens?
Yes. I am John Stevens.
All right,
the fourth.
thank you. Is there anything you would like to say?
Yeah, so I don't have a prepared statement. I think what the Mishcons have said and what Ivy have said is extremely well said and true. I closed my heart to this a long time ago. I don't live in Florida. I'm sorry that I couldn't be there. I live in Kansas City. I have a job. You know, I think about my family, and I think about the success that I've had in life. And I know it's because I had a good dad. A dad with principles and who raised me well. You know, I have a wife and 2 kids. My daughter was 3 months old, his first grandchild, when you murdered him, Austin. And I didn't have as strong of a relationship with him growing up as Ivy did. I was always much more serious, a little bit more of a mama's boy. Stay at home a lot of those weekends when Ivy would go and see him. But he never let me use it as an excuse, is what I'll say, to be an asshole or a monster. You know, and he had a successful period in his life, and I just think about a time when I called him. I think I was 21 or 22 in the Marine Corps, and I asked him for $500 to make a car payment, and he said he wouldn't help me, and I needed to figure it out. And I said, "Look, man, I'm at the end of my rope," and he said, "Tie it on and hold on." Principles, again, raised me well, raised me to be a man. And I just look at you, and I do get some level of catharsis
They
that
paid for the best lawyers
he made me
they
successful.
could find.
I'm an executive, I'm a father and a husband, I'm an Iraq war veteran, I'm a college graduate. You know, I'm sitting in my $1 million home, and you're sitting there in front of your parents who are doing nothing but financing your power fantasy. You killed a 60-year-old man and 100-pound woman. It's sad and pathetic. Next to your smug lawyers, which, congratulations, by the way, this will look great on your website. And I think, you know, I agree with the family. This is just, it's pathetic for the state. The sheriff who didn't kill you on site is pathetic. I know what it's like to pull a trigger on a gun. And I know that if you were black, you would be dead. So I just, you know, I think this entire system is complicit in a racist scheme to get you out, and they've been successful. And it doesn't surprise me at all, coming out of South Florida. I'm glad I live where I live. And, you know, I have no faith in God. I think you'll die and go to the void having lived an unfulfilled life, like a lot of people who are sitting in prison today. But what I do know is that if you do believe in God, you will burn in hell, along with everyone at that table with you and some of the people behind you. I'll just talk a little bit about my family. One of the reasons I'm not there is his dog, who you didn't kill, Rebel, is 13 now. He has cancer. He's old. I've been carrying him up and down the stairs for weeks. You know, had to tell my kids that he's reaching the end of his life, which was very sad. And, you know, my daughter remarked, it's like, this is what we remember Grandpa by, who she never met because you killed him, right? It's just a sad situation. And I agree with what's been said. You deserve to die. You still can die. It's up to you. If you believe in justice, right? If you're not a coward. And I know that you haven't apologized, probably because you've been coached not to. I would just say don't bother. You know. So that's really it. That's really it for me. Again, taking a lot from us. Our kids have one grandparent. They don't have their grandfather. I'll just say it again to everybody in this courtroom. My dad raised successful people. He raised good kids who have good families, who are successful and contributing to society. And I just think it's you know, it's hilarious to me that all your family has been successful in doing is supporting your power fantasy. And you brutally murdered a 100-pound woman and a 60-year-old man. Sad as shit. And I just look behind you and I can, God, it's so pathetic. And what I'll say is the next time you want to go on a power fantasy, do it to somebody who can stand up for themselves. Come find me. Right? Fucking pussy.
All right, next.
I guess I'm done. What I'll say is, I do think the state should be held accountable. I don't know how that works with lame ass bureaucrats, but I know that if you worked for me, you would be fired because you are poor performers and you suck at your jobs. So we'll figure out what recourse we have, or we'll just make it public how we feel about it. But you all should lose your jobs. That's it.
All right, thank you. State.
My name's Haley. I live with Cindy and Perry. And I just wanted to come up here. I wasn't prepared, but I want you all to sit here longer and listen to this. And also, Austin and I are not too far apart. I was in college doing similar stuff that Austin was doing, drugs and alcohol. I was at a low point doing that, which I'm sure you were. And the only person I ever wanted to harm, ever thought about harming, was myself. And I'm sure you felt that too. And everyone in this room hopes that one day you do that. And I just hope that everyone here knows what a disgusting person he is. And I feel bad for the parents. I wanted to until I heard everything today. He should have been able to come to you, but all you did was make the situation worse. You enabled him, you put the tools in his hand, and you failed miserably. Austin, I will make sure that everyone around our age knows what a disgusting, scary, pathetic person you are. I hope you never find happiness for the rest of your life. And if you ever have the courage to do something, your bravest act could be to kill yourself. and everyone would be better off because of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go back to before the raid, and I have a 10-minute reading of the forensic psychologist evaluation, where they more or less recommended the court to find him.
My name is Rich Goodman.
Insanity plea.
I've known the Mishcon family since I was probably in second or third grade, and I was actually married to Michele early on, and we stayed incredibly close friends. When we were together, I was a prosecutor. I worked for Ms. Reno, the Honorable Janet Reno in Dade County. And it was a time in which we were young. We were excited about our jobs. We recognized how important they were, but I'm not really sure how good we were. But we were always encouraged to do everything we can to protect the state of Florida, the rights of the people of the state of Florida. Gets to the point where you take your cases home with you. You live with your cases 24/7. They become incredibly important to you. And until about an hour and a half or so ago, I assumed this case was well done. I assumed that every stone would have been untouched.
Holy
or touched.
fuck.
I would have assumed that I would have been spending my days working on a case, uncovering things, not relying on a family to present evidence, not relying on a family to do the job that we weren't made up to do. I don't know what went on between discussions among attorneys. There's always the unsaid, there's things that are done behind closed doors. But there is not a soul that can sit in this courtroom, at least on this side, that recognizes that this is a failure.
Ooh.
I don't know whose failure it is. I believe in our system. I know it's not perfect. Officers, my God, you guys have incredibly difficult jobs, and it's difficult. But how there can be a sense of accomplishment, or a sense of this is ending, or a sense of we did the best we possibly could, there's not one soul in this courtroom that thinks that happened. I hope this makes you all better lawyers. I hope it makes you understand the impact of failure. And I appreciate the work that everybody else has done, especially in the courtroom. Defense attorney has an obligation. They have an obligation to do what they have to do. We were always told that we represented the rights of the people of the state of Florida. We did everything humanly possible. We lost cases. We decided not to prosecute cases, but we never gave up.
Who?
Thank you.
Who? Watch out for the next election in that county.
I didn't know.
I just want to close with how we open.
Thank you, Lance, for the buck 49 super sticker. Much appreciated. Thank you so very much. And Crazy Cat Queen. Hey! I know you from everywhere else. You showed up here. Thank you so much. $10 super sticker. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Holy crap. Yeah. I'm amazed I haven't heard of this until now. This was in November last year. So I didn't have my channel back then. Oh, well, I had an account, but I didn't have a channel. I need to read up on this. I need to read up on this. He had an insanity plea. I believe every circumstance was, yes, he did it. Temporary insanity, I believe, was the plea, which means the court accepted the plea, and he has been sent away to a state asylum of sorts, where he will spend a lot of years, I hope. Whew. Tweety US News. Austin met the criteria for legal insanity at the time of the offense. Austin was therefore sentenced to involuntary commitment in a secure forensic state hospital. Whew. Holy crap. Yeah. This is rough. Thank you for being here, listening in with me. And yeah, let's see. Where did... I was watching back on the Law and C-word streams, just looking around for something, sorry to say this, easy, short, so I can put up a stream for a day or two. And I remembered this case because I watched the Casual Criminalist podcast with Simon Whistler. So I had an opinion before these victim statements. Now I'm not so sure about that opinion. I need to read up on this. I really need to read up on this. I already said we will do some of the Austin Harrouffs jailhouse calls on Wednesday, and also the interview with Dr. Phil to see if I get even more infuriated. Yeah. Yeah. Whew. Let's continue.
So I don't know if the order's already been signed, but you've heard a lot today. And
This is the first
I think you've
sister
heard that we feel there's been no justice.
who
in this case
testified
on the
today.
state of Florida. And if you can rectify that by making the correct decision and acknowledging that he was not insane, because right, they asked you to do their job in the beginning, pointed that out to all of us, that he was not insane, and that the defense, that he was not insane, and that the defense got him off, and instead to just do justice. Put him in prison for the rest of his life, because I think you can do that. I think judges can do anything. So you've heard a lot. Again, you weren't here in the beginning, but they did ask you to put a stamp of approval on what they have all decided. We don't feel that way, so if there's anything you can do differently, and if you feel differently, and if you have the wherewithal to say, great, I know how you feel, but there's gonna be a trial, then do that. Whatever you can do that you think makes us feel that more justice took place, we'll ask you to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anything further from the state?
No, we're not from the state.
Anything from the defense?
No, Judge. Not this time.
All right. With regard to some of the things that were said, especially Ms. Bruce at the end with the request is when the parties stipulate to an agreement and they enter into an agreement, the court can always reject stipulations, but I want to go through some things, and I'm going to just address, and hopefully this somewhat answers the question, and maybe is a form of education also. I'm not in any way saying it other than for what it's worth. The focus of this case, I'm sure for the state and I'm sure for the defense, even when they're looking at it, is the death of John Stevens, Michele Mishcon, and Jeffrey Fisher as far as the attack. And the fact okay, put the COVID time in it where there were delays, let's say a year and a half. It's still, the case has been pending over 6 years. And I can tell you from just being involved the last 4 years, even though some of that was limited with regard to COVID and the delays because of that, the parties, at least what I have seen and what has been filed, have worked very diligently in the case. I'm not saying mistakes aren't made. I'm not in any way picking one side or the other. I'm just saying that it does appear that everybody has been working diligently to present their side. While the burden is on the defense to show or prove insanity, the state does have an obligation to follow the law too. And I want to cover this insanity thing, not the law. I'm not going to read the statute, just in general, that even first-year law students, one of the first things you learn in criminal law is that you need to have mens rea and actus reus. You need to have a criminal mind, a mental intent, and you need to have an act for it to be a crime. So with the insanity defense, which has been codified or really established by the court systems for McNaughton was 1843. I looked it up. That was like the big case in England for putting in writing what needs to be done for an insanity defense. It's not a defense to a crime. It's really a defense to being charged with a crime, ultimately, when it comes down to it. Because if you don't have the act with that mental intent to commit an act, then you didn't commit a crime. Essentially, that's what it says. And in this particular case, 3 doctors, because really all 3 made the determination of insanity. Dr. Gamache said, well, that happened, but because the mental illness was created by past use of alcohol and drugs, it's not, he created a legal question there. But really, the defense doctor, the state doctor, who I think we'd all agree that between the two of them, there's a lot of respect for what they've done in their lives. And I've heard both state and defendants over my years as a judge state that Dr. Landrum is somebody to be relied upon. So bottom line is the state's got to follow the law, just like the defense has the obligation to present every defense that is available to it. The state needs to follow law too. And if this sounds a little like I'm defending the state's actions, I've seen them work diligently, do things, request things, ask for things that they feel are appropriate, and to try to advance the idea of defending against the defense. But in the end, they do need to follow the law. I have a note here. Defense is ethically obligated to assess the defendant's mental health, both for competency and insanity. They're obligated to do that in every single case. I used to be a prosecutor. I used to be a defense attorney. I've been doing this for 18 years. Generally, most of my time has been in a criminal field. Obviously, all of it as a prosecutor, as a defense attorney, and then most of my time as a judge. Regarding the claim that there's purchased or bought for defenses, or the outcome might be based on something other than the facts and the law, I have to disagree. The vast majority of insanity defenses that are raised in front of me, at least in my years, have been public defender cases with indigent clients. And the doctors don't care when they're assessing somebody who the attorney is, because they have an obligation and an ethical obligation to do what they do. And in any event, that's just the fact of the matter. In this particular case, the defense and the state have agreed to this particular outcome, I'm sure based upon all the facts and circumstances that they have. It's a sad case. It's an awful case. but nobody's losing sight. I can tell you I'm not, of the death and the injuries that were.
Thank you again, Crazy Cat Queen, for your $10 super chat. This is the former FSU student presumed to under the influence of hallucinogenic. Bath salts are difficult to test. We need to review the case too. Sorry, it's been a while. School, family stuff. No worries. Welcome back. Family first. School. Stay in school, kids. Trust this old fuck here. I don't know. There's a lot to read for me to read up on, so I'm not sure. Yes, this is the former FSU student, presumed under the influence. Yeah, presumed, but the testing that was done found no drugs. But as Valhalla said an hour ago, they may have only tested for standard stuff, not for this stuff. Whew. Yes, thank you, Anne Serkin. You have provided us all with great insights. Thank you so much. And Serkin, both the parents blame the victims. That not mental illness, that's morally bankrupt, as is their son. Yeah, Wednesday we will listen to the interview with Dr. Phil and some of the phone calls, and we'll see where we go from there. I did not expect this to be like this. I was expecting hearing the insanity plea and listening to podcasts about the case from a year ago or so. No, from earlier this year. That this was more or less a cut and dry. Kids had a psychotic break, and yeah, I need to read more about this. Let's listen to the final 10 minutes or so.
Sustained in the case. But when it all gets said and done, the state and the defense have made a determination that that mental intent was not formulated, that it wasn't there, and therefore the defendant is technically not guilty by reason of insanity. So I'm going to accept their stipulation. I'm going to read it into the record. I'm going to enter the written version also. And here it is. The issue of sanity of the defendant at the time of the offense has been raised in accordance with the provisions of Florida law. The defendant, by and through his counsel, obtained the services of Dr. Philip Resnick, and the state retained the services of Dr. Gregory Landrum to examine the defendant and to report to the court on whether the defendant was insane at the time of the offense and whether the defendant meets the criteria for commitment to the Department of Children and Family Services as provided in Florida law. And the court, having received those written reports of the named experts in relation to the issue of the defendant's sanity at the time of the offense and whether the defendant meets the criteria for the commitment, the court hereby makes the following findings of fact and conclusion of the law. The defendant was charged by indictment with burglary of a dwelling with an assault or battery while armed, 2 counts of first-degree murder with a weapon, attempted first-degree murder with a weapon, and that was from an incident that occurred on August 15, 2016. The court does find that the state has met its burden, both by the stipulation and the documentation that's been provided, in establishing the crimes charged. On August 15, 2016, the defendant did unlawfully enter or remain in a dwelling, the property of John Stevens or Michele Mishcon, as owner or custodian, with the intent to commit an offense therein, and in the course of committing the burglary did commit an assault or battery upon another, or was armed or did become armed within the property with a dangerous weapon, and that the defendant did unlawfully with a premeditated design to effect the death of any human being, kill and murder John Joseph Stevens III, a human being, in the course of committing the offense did carry, display, or use, or threaten to use, or attempted to use a weapon. The defendant did unlawfully with premeditated design to effect the death of any human being, to kill and murder Michele Mishcon, a human being, and in the course.
Just going to, if you listen to the first witness statement of the day, she read out text messages between Austin and friends. He was more or less drunk or high constantly for almost a year leading up to this. Constantly. While attending college. And some things in this tells me that the parents knew and did jack shit about it. And well, they apparently had an appointment for an evaluation, but he went on a killing spree after a restaurant visit where apparently the father punched him in the face. And according to another witness statement, that what set everything in motion. But let's round this off. It's
Course of committing the offense did carry, display, use, threaten, or use to attempt to use a weapon. And Austin Harrouff, the defendant, did unlawfully with premeditated design to effect the death of any human being, attempt to kill and murder Jeffrey Michael Fisher, a human being. And during the commission of the crime, did carry, display, use, threaten to use, or attempt to use any weapon, in this case, a knife. Second, the defendant suffers from a mental illness, which was bipolar 1 disorder, most recent episode manic with psychotic features. 3, the defendant filed a notice of intent to rely on insanity defense pursuant to Florida law. 4, the defendant was evaluated by Dr. Philip Resnick and Dr. Gregory Landrum, who both opined that at the time of the offense charge, the defendant was suffering under such a mental defect that he was unable to distinguish right from wrong or understand the consequences of his actions. Dr. Landrum found that due to the defendant's illness, he is manifestly dangerous to himself or others and therefore meets the criteria for commitment to a secure treatment facility of the Department of Children and Family Services as provided under the law. The state and the defense stipulated and agree that the defendant was not legally sane at the time of the offense and is therefore not guilty of the offense by reason of insanity. Therefore, the court finds that the defendant is found not guilty on the offenses charged in the indictment for the cause of insanity due to mental illness as defined in Florida statutes. The defendant currently meets the criteria for involuntary commitment to the Department of Children and Family Services as provided under Florida law and Florida rules. And in that, the defendant, because of his mental illness, is manifestly dangerous to himself or others. Based upon those facts and conclusions of the law, it's ordered that the defendant is not guilty of the offenses charged in the November 8, 2016 indictment by reason of insanity. The defendant meets the criteria for involuntary placement with the Department of Children and Family Services. The defendant is hereby committed to the Department of Children and Families to be placed in a secure mental health treatment facility. The clerk of the court is directed to forthwith forward a certified copy of this order along with copies of any written reports submitted to the court by the experts relating to the issues of mental illness, manifest dangerousness, and commitment. Copies of any other psychiatric or psychological or social work reports submitted to the court relative to the mental state of the defendant. All exhibits submitted by the state and the defense at any hearing, a copy of the charging instrument and all supporting affidavits or other documents used in determination of probable cause to the following email address and written address. I won't go through those. Upon notification of admission by the Department of Children and Families, the Sheriff of Martin County shall, on a date specified, forthwith transport and deliver the defendant to the treatment facility designated by the department, together with certified copy of this order and other documentation as outlined above. The department, through the administrator of the facility to which the defendant is admitted, shall report directly to the court with copies to the attorneys for the state and the defense on the issue of the need of continued commitment under Florida law. In
Thank
the
you, Casey.
event the
Great to
defendant's
get to you.
presence is required at
See you
any
later.
hearings in this cause, the court will issue an order to transport, directing the sheriff of Martin County or his designee to resume custody of and transport the defendant back to the jurisdiction of the court. This court retains jurisdiction in this cause pursuant to Florida law, and the defendant shall not be discharged or released from commitment within the Department of Children and Family Services without a further order of the court. The court further orders the following special conditions be imposed as part of the defendant's commitment: no contact, direct or indirect, with any of the victims' families in this matter. And that will be the order of the court. So I will enter that when I get back into my office. I got to make a couple of modifications that I see on it, but that's what's going to be in it. All right. So,
Yeah, I'm
Mr.
going to
Harrouff, you're
download
going to continue to be
as much as I can.
a resident of the Martin County Jail until the Department.
But this was November, and now it's
Services,
end of
takes
May.
custody of you.
So
All right,
apparently
everybody,
it hasn't.
good luck.
Yeah.
We'll take just a little bit of recess to let the audience clear out.
Okay, let's see if there is. No, that is it. Whew, yeah. I saw a number in the chat about 2 hours ago saying something in the line of 20 to 25 years. But let's see here. DCF in Florida oversees the mental health programs at state facilities for adults and children. Okay. And as the judge stipulated, he cannot be released without a court order letting him. So my guess when it comes to Florida, because normally they are not going easy on criminals. I would suspect, but that is speculation on my part, that yeah. Yeah, he's being forced into the loony bin, and let's hope he stays there for a very long time. But I'm not going to do an outro as I normally do. I will just see you off with this was rough. I will see you off with Michele Mishcon and John Stevens III. Have a nice day. Talk to you later.